What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So, move over, Canada. It's Daddy America's turn at the wheel. Now, to start, Canadians. You've all heard of them. Some of you might think they're the nicest people you've ever met. Well, all of you are wrong. They're vicious, they're vile, they're passive-aggressive. They kick you into you-know-what as soon as they look at you. Now, these boys think that they're so much better than us, but they got another thing coming. So today I'm going to be talking with y'all about the history of annexation movements for America to own Canada, some military strategy, and the aftermath of everything. And you'll be seeing some cool statistics, and I bet you all are excited for that. Now, we're going to start off with some history of America and Canada. So Americans versus Canadians. Now, many Americans have a very strong hatred for Canadians, like myself, and actually my cousins. I've learned they really hate Canada. And this hatred can be seen and perpetuated in pop culture. And a lot of TV shows are going to make fun of pathetic Canada, like The Simpsons or King of the Hill. So yeah, now I'm going to have to talk about the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. So a lot of people like Justin Trudeau. There was this girl in my French class who thought he was really hot, and that was about 2 years ago. But some people have a different opinion. I like to call him Dirty Justin. He's in the past, he's done blackface multiple times. Oops. He has multiple ethic violations underneath his belt. And he also was selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. Oops, again. So now that we've got that off, let's talk about the history of annexation movements. Now, there were many previous attempts, and many of them came from inside Canada. Go figure. But in the 1860s, it was at the time that America had purchased Alaska. Many Canadians, too, wanted to be purchased and owned by America. Weird. And in 1873, a group of Irish immigrants fought to annex the land between Detroit and Niagara Falls. That's also kind of strange. I don't know why you'd want that, but some of the reasons why that people want America to annex Canada. Well, in 1873, Canadians disapproved of British colonial government, so they wanted out of there. And then Nova Scotians no longer wanted to be involved with Canada or Britain. So again, nobody likes Canada. But why would we want Canada, right? I mean, it's so awful. Well, when you think about it this way, they've got a pretty sexy economy. Their GDP is about $1.73 billion a year, and they have a $762 billion trade surplus. There's no wonder why America would want to hit that, especially with all of the natural gas that they have. Now, because we have such a strong economy, or because they have such a strong economy, owning that would make us much more powerful. And because we all hate Canadians, right? We can unite America over our hatred of Canada. Now, we know that we want Canada. How do we get it? Now, the answer to this question is quite simple. Full-scale military invasion. Who would win? Well, when you look at it like this, here's America's military. Over $771 billion spent annually in defense. That was in 2019. And there are over 1.2 million people in the armed forces with over 8,000 tanks. That's a lot of clams. Now, if we look at baby boy Canada's military, 65,000 Canadians in the military, which, 25,000 in the reserves. They have no major military victories, only peacekeeping missions, which aren't even like real wars, they're just doing little Canada things. And they only have 120 tanks, which if you do the math on that, somebody else can do it. It's a big difference. And they have 30 ships too. I don't know, America's got a lot more than that. So, now what's the battle plan, right? Well, in a Vice interview with Dr. Howard Coombs, which is, by the way, a very Canadian last name, who works for the Canadian Global Affairs Institute, he said that America's battle plan would be to, number one, attack Canada's telecommunication system. Then they would deploy troops to key locations. But as I've done my research, the real answer is nukes, okay? Canada hasn't had them since 1984, and they're not gonna have them, unless we launch a couple in Guam. But unfortunately, every good thing has some downsides, right? Even me. Let's see here. What are those downsides? Firstly, many weak Canadians will be afraid of the new regime. That wouldn't matter much. It's not like we'd want them here anyway. And what else? Oh yeah, another one. There are some downsides to nuclear warfare. To read a quote from the International Committee of the Red Cross, quote, "Nuclear weapons are the most terrifying weapon ever invented. No weapon is more destructive. No weapon causes such unspeakable human suffering. and there is no way to control how far radioactive fallout will spread. So, kind of bad, but I think it's worth it. Now, America has finally defeated Canada, let's say, and we have proven that we are much better than them. Now, when we're going to be dealing with the people who dislike the new government of America, we have a plan. Oh, I missed it. So, oh no. Gosh. It's not going to load. This is the most important slide.
Let me pause.
Okay. What do I do? Can I, like...
You might have to refresh.
Go forward again, or go backwards past it. Okay.
I'm going to try to refresh. It's so sad. I spent hours on that.
Oh, no, I know it's not.
What, do we have Canadian internet here? Let's see if we can. Here we go. All right.
I missed it. I
All right. Are we going? So now we have a way of dealing with the people who dislike our new government. And this plan is called the Trail of Tears 2. Quite simply, this plan would be to move the people who disagree with Canada's new government on a friendly walk from all the way up here, snake down a little bit, over down to Oklahoma, just like they did the first time. Now, basically what we would do here is these Canadians will live in what we would call New Canada, and basically they would just assume all of old Canada's, like all the bad stuff, all the debt, we're gonna pump their sewage down there. You know, everything bad. Debt of $768 billion. Ouch. But, downsides out of the way, boom, we have a massive economy boost. Big wins. Everybody wins. America takes all of the good stuff and leaves New Canada with all of the bad stuff. We get their $768 billion a year trade surplus, which will allow us to pay off our nasty national debt. With such an impressive sweeping victory, Americans will be able to laugh at Canada for their immediate surrender and not even trying to fight back because there's no way they could. And casualties will also be kept to a minimum because hopefully we don't have to drop the nukes. You know, it'll just be more of a threat kind of a deal. So, what do we got here? So, after learning about all the problems and how to solve them, the decision on what to do with Canada is obvious. There's Nukem. To conclude, we talked today about the history of annexation movements. Why would anyone want Canada in the first place? Some military stuff, and the aftermath of everything. Now, after learning about annexing Canada, the reasons why we should annex Canada, I implore all of you to do some more, research on the subject by yourselves. And I urge all of you to write your local congressman and let him know how you feel about Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, us Americans have always known that we are better than Canadians. But are y'all ready to prove it and stuff? That's all I got.